Thank you guys so much for hopping on. We're going to give it just a few more minutes to allow for a 5-minute grace period, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, I was just editing the content, Alicia. I think like this is gonna be my favorite webinar. It talks about like immigrations. We're gonna talk about the startups and the entrepreneurship.
That's
Just
so exciting. Yeah, definitely a path that you went down, so it's personal to you.
exactly, Alicia. This is something like we always wanted to do at EB1A Experts. Apart from like the immigration, how can we help like more? Like for someone who wants to start a company, we're doing like at a small scale, like to like the clients whom we help, like if they want to start a company, how can they do it like an advice really role. But yeah, we might as a company take a bigger role, helping out like entrepreneurs more.
Absolutely. Definitely. And because it's so close to your experience as well, I know a lot of people don't know how to get started going down an entrepreneurial route. So you're definitely the person to talk to when it comes to that. And this is such a relevant topic for what's going on out there in the current climate. So we're gonna have a lot of interesting things to go over.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think we can get started.
Perfect. So thank you guys again for hopping on. We appreciate you taking the time. Today we're going to go over securing your EB1A visa amid tech layoffs and just the current landscape right now. This is going to be immigration strategies for tech professionals from companies such as Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, etc. So without further ado, my name is Alicia. I'll be your host today. Our speaker, he has not only obtained his own green card, but has helped hundreds of others do the exact same. So we're going to give a warm welcome to Raghu Sarem. And I also wanted to mention really quickly, you guys, that I did include a couple links in the comments of the webinar. So check us out on our website. And then just as a disclaimer, the information and any other data shared today are for informational purposes only and do not constitute legal advice. So we're going to go over the deck for about 30 minutes or so, and then we're going to give you guys time to submit your questions throughout to the Q&A, and then we'll answer those for the last 30 minutes. If you guys can just give a thumbs up in the Q&A to make sure that it's good to go, that would be very much appreciated. Okay, it looks like we are getting some questions, so thanks you guys. And then let me hand it off to Raghu.
Awesome. Thanks, Alicia. Again, thanks everyone for joining the call. I know Friday evenings are usually tough, especially when the weather is getting better. And I was just mentioning to Alicia that like what so this is going to be my favorite topic. I mean, we usually talk about like EB101 a lot, like in the webinars, but today we're going to talk like more as well. We're going to talk about like startups, like entrepreneurship, what exactly you can do. There's a lot of things happening in the world. We're going to just at least like try to cover like a few of those topics. But yeah, no, as Alicia mentioned, any questions you have, like please add in the Q&A. We'll try to go through all of them and get them answered. So first of all, about me, I'm the founder and CEO of like EB1A Experts. I have come to US almost like 10, actually 12 years ago on my F1 visa, then moved to H1B. Starting a company was my goal, and I realized like being on H1B and being on EB2 was like really difficult to, at least at the time, like I thought it's difficult to start a company if you do not have a green card, which is again like not true. But however, like that has actually motivated me to pursue EB1. It took me like quite a bit of time, 18 months, around 18 months to go from like to work on my profile, work with an attorney and obtain like EB1 approved. During the process, I've definitely realized like there's a lot of like improvements, optimization we could do around the whole process. So we have been helping like numerous people, numerous aspirants, EB1 aspirants for to get their green card. A little bit about my background. I've been a product manager for like 6, 7 years before I applied for my EB1. So I've been in the tech. I know like how to navigate, how to tell a better story, to make sure like show the achievements and to be perfect for EB1 path. Yeah. With that being said, like, what is any questions about my profile? Just add in the Q&A. Happy to talk about and my experience as well. The okay, so let's start with the layoffs. And as we can see, right, like what's on the left side, like layoffs.fi, there are like 124K layoffs happened in 2025. I think in 2026, if you look at like the post from Calshi, it says like layoffs were the highest level in 15 plus years last month. So January is like there's so many layoffs. as you all know, like there could be a lot of different reasons for layoffs as well. And but the biggest like reason for the layoff is like AI. I mean, you all know like AI. There's so much optimizations happening across. We as a company, like we're doing so many optimizations. And as you know, like at every company they're using AI. If I remember right, like the Anthropic CEO, 12 months ago or 14 months ago, he said like 90% of the code will be written by AI. And I was like, to be honest, I did not believe him because a year ago, AI advancement were not huge. So, so right now, I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine, like in Amazon, and they said like, what is it? They didn't even write a single line of code in the last 6 months. And they just like would chat with Claude Code and get the code and then like add the code. Even for a small change, you just like prompt, you don't write the code. And not only like software development, like there's a lot of different roles which are getting automated as well. And we'll see like in this landscape, like what exactly people would do, how do you navigate, what exactly needs to be done as well. We can go to the next slide. Okay. So this is something which we're talking about, like this structural realignment around the tech. It happened. I mean, if you look at the back, right, it happened. This every 2 decades, 3 decades, or like a decade, like the realignment happens. The gradient to industrial to like tech, now tech to AI is something which is happening. There's definitely a lot of post-pandemic corrections. Definitely a lot of hiring happened during pandemic. So there's a lot of layoffs happening like right after the pandemic, and it's continuing right now, and also because of AI right now. Now, as we can see, right, like there's a lot of high performing professionals. They're high credentials. You did masters. You've been working for like decades. A lot of great experience, and really competitive. Now, if you look at it, like what is it? It's just a complete strategy. The strategy is completely shifted. Like now, they're able to like automate like a lot of different roles as well. So it's about the context, not about the capability. Has become like what is it? The scope as well. To be honest, like, I was talking to a like friend of mine like a couple of hours ago. Is at Amazon. He was talking about like some of the program managers at Amazon were let go, which is I mean the reason, and some of the software developers will let go as well. And according to him, like there's a lot of automation which has happened. Like every one person is probably able to do like five people work right now because of a lot of different things, a lot of automations as well. And it's going to completely happen. And yeah, as you know, right, company like they try to make money. That's how it is. Like they try to make money, and one of the ways to make money is of course like cutting the costs as well. And that's been happening right now. I hope like what is the AI revolution becomes like so big and there's so many companies will be created and jobs will come back like in the future. Go to the next slide. Okay. Now, the most important thing is like why immigration strategy matters. So, as you can see, right, like there's a lot of tech careers which are being started, and there's a lot of like a small. I mean, don't have to look into the content in the slide, but there is many small companies which are being started, and you going on H1B, you going on any other visa to them, like what is it, kind of becomes like increasingly difficult because startups like or any company to be honest like they want to hire right now, they don't want to wait like for like 6 months or 8 months. If there are like multiple people, like tens of people who have like someone visa figured out, they have a green card, they have I mean they have things, they would like to probably hire them than the people like which are on visa. So it's very important. As you can see, like what is it? This is the third point. Professionals are evaluating. I mean, the important thing is like professionals are evaluating paths for long-term career mobility, and so as like the startups as well. So that's why like the self-petition options. I know EB1 is a self-petition option. O1A is not a self-petition, but you can start a company or a small company can sponsor like O1A as well, which can align with independent high-impact career. Okay. Now, okay, so what not to do? I've been, again, been talking to like a lot of like aspirants, like if you're on aspirants or 1A aspirants or like someone is on F1 visa right now. They're definitely taking like too long, to assess like different options. There's still like, even though we've been promoting about EB1 1A, still think like EB1 is out of reach. Probably it could take like multiple years to even actually work on your profile and then like apply for different things. Filing some of the people are also saying like they file the rush cases without having any strategy. And I've also seen like a close friend of mine is actually in Austin. He's working with us like with EB1A experts, but like he was waiting for the company employer to apply for EB1A, which is definitely taking like a lot of time. So depending too much on the employer is actually also taking time as well. So these are the few things which we have seen. Of course, like any other questions on this, happy to chat about. But yeah, no, this is my code. It's a little cringe, but this is my code, like which I usually say, is strong outcomes always come from planning. It's not panic, right? When things go up and down, always need to have a strategy. Always have to plan. And when you are an immigrant, like especially in US, I would figure out like the immigration strategy. Just like figure out immigration strategy one for all. I wouldn't try to be on like a temporary visa options. O1A is a temporary visa option, it's not a permanent one. But if you do not have an H1B, of course, like O1A is a much better option than trying to get H1B in the lottery. But if you have O1A or H1B, or even like if a date is current, I would like try to figure out EB1A and then get the green card as well. So the next slide. Okay. Now with that, let's understand like what is EB1A. So probably like if you're an immigrant like in US, you know like a lot of different options like EB1, EB2, and EB3, EB4, and EB5 like are the employment based like ways to get a green card. EB4 is a different like religious visa. EB5 is an investment visa. And EB2 and EB3 are the common visa types like which a lot of companies usually apply. And it's laborious. It's a really, really long process. And if you're an Indian applicant, or like even for Chinese applicants, EB2 and EB3 are like really backlog. It could take like multiple decades to get a green card. And within EB1, EB1 is another category like EB2 and EB3. Within EB1, the subcategory is ABC. EB1B and EB1C are employment-based first preference because like they have to apply for the green cards in EB1B and EB1C. And EB1A is self-petition. This is one of the advantages of EB1A, which actually helps, which you don't have to rely on any employer. You don't have to like take anyone permissions. You go, you work on your profile, you meet the criteria. We'll take a look at the criteria in a bit. And then you can apply for EB1A. And that's the independence of like that EB1A is actually taking off like over the last 3 years. A number of EB1A applications are going up like drastically over the last like 2 to 3 years. And we are estimating probably that could go up like 10 to 15% year over year moving forward as well. And that's one thing. Happy to chat about like other things about EB1A, but let's look at the other benefits of EB1A. First one is like you don't need to have like an H1B dependency. You don't have to think about like job loss, layoffs, and forced exits. The other common reason what we always see is like, oh, you want to bring in like your parents, like you have your parents, like they're living in a different country. You want to bring them to US. And of course, it's not just like getting a green card, you can sponsor them, but like once you get a green card, 5 years later, you'll get a citizenship, and then you can sponsor green cards like for your parents so that so that it can be like very convenient for them to come here, stay here for however long they would like to. The third common reason which we usually see like from our clients is like aging out children. I'm not sure whether like everyone knows about aging out. So let's say your kids are not born here, even though you come here when they're kids and they're not born here, so they are your dependents. And once they're 21, that dependent status would go away. So then they have to move on to different status. It could be most people choose F1, and once they go on F1, they have the same life of everything like what is it like a normal immigrant who's coming on F1 for the first time, which is a big which is a big problem, to be honest. Like this is one of the biggest problems which people are talking about, like more than 200,000 aging out children right now. But just getting a green card, you can sponsor them green card as well before they turn 21. And this other important thing is like travel restrictions, complexity of work, travel restrictions, and emergencies. As you know, like in 2026, there's no slots for H1B. Like if you want to travel to India with you do not have a stamp, it kind of becomes complex. There's many travel restrictions which are out there. Career breaks. This is an important topic which we've been chatting about. There's a lot of things which could happen, and you want to take care of your family. You want to take care of like a lot of different things. You want to take a break like for 3 4 months, and being on a visa is always like restrictive. So which is kind of like another important huge benefit actually, which like EB1A green card offers or any green card offers for that matter. Let's start with some common myths which we usually see. I mean, the biggest myth, I think, like the PhD myth probably is like broken right now. You don't need to have a PhD. You don't need to have a master's, even for like EB1 or O1. It's all about the criteria. We'll look into the criteria into the next slide. As soon as like you meet the criteria and you feel that you meet the criteria, you can work with an attorney or you can self-file the petition. Then the startup to enhance your EB1 eligibility. You don't need to have a startup like to apply for EB1 as long as you meet the criteria. It should be totally great. One thing though, like when you have a startup, let's say you have a startup, you have a product, and the product is being used by a lot of like clients, a lot of customers, and you can show the original contributions, you can show the work, you can show the revenue generated by the company. But to be honest, like it doesn't have to be a startup. Like you can be working at a corporate, like on a product, and that would be generating like good amount of revenue. You could use that as well. Now, can you go back one slide? Okay. And then you must have US-based achievements. This is another common myth which we usually see. Like you need to have US-based achievements. It doesn't need to be. Many of our clients, like they started working in India a few years down the line, they get probably L1 visa or H1 visa to a company. They move here and they have a few years of achievements here. And then like they went for like a US-based, they went for like EB1A. And technically you don't need to have like US-based achievements at all. You could be working anywhere in the world and apply for like EB1A. You don't need to have like any type of specific visa as well. We do have a few clients like from South America, from Latin America. They apply for EB1 as well. I've seen like number of people like this one. Then the other one is like you need to be a manager. You don't need to be a manager. We usually see I mean, we were looking at some of the data. I think less than 10% of our like approval data have like manager. More than 90% of them are like individual contributors. I have been an individual contributor throughout my career as well. I've never been a manager. Now let's look at the 10 ABONI criteria at a high level. We'll go through this one at a high level, but if you have questions, just feel free to add in the Q&A. We'll talk to that. So the couple of important points is like, let's look at the criteria 8, critical or leading role, and which is nothing but like, let's say you have 10 years or 12 years of experience. All that experience, like what are the work, what you're doing, which is critical or leading, that can be showcased like for criteria number 8. And now let's say not only doing critical work, but you've been doing like, let's say innovative work, which is like number 5. When you're doing the innovative work and that innovative work like is being used in the company, outside the company, by the customers, and that actually like can be used as well for number 5. Of course, like you could use like different types of like evidences for more evidences if you have like for 5 as well, such as let's say open source contributions or any other work which you have done has been extensively used like in the industry or like at least like some part of the industry. What we do like at EB1A Experts, we base these two things like number 5 and number 8. Now, how do we take that work and leverage for different criteria? Let's say it could be awards, it could be memberships, it could be media, judging, and other scholarly publications as well. So, which is criteria number 6. And I mean, to be honest, like before starting the company, that's exactly what I've done for my work as well for my EB1A, and that's what I would do. Take the work, what you have been doing, like the criticality of the work. Now, how do you showcase that work to meet the other criteria, to identify the awards within your field, to identify like the judging opportunities within your field, apply for those opportunities. It might not be like you apply one, you get one. Definitely, there's going to be balance that you need to find. You might have to apply more, convince a panelist more how your work going to help their specific organization, and then be part of like that organization. And you can use that evidence for this specific criteria as well. I'm happy to talk about like each individual criteria, what are the different types of evidence if someone has a question. But let me take like probably judging. So judging, we usually have some judging is like the most commonly accepted criteria among our clients. Among our clients, so judging, I've seen like number of times it gets accepted. And what we usually try to do here is like conferences and journals. There's a lot of great conferences, a lot of journals which are like aligned to your field of expertise or field of endeavor, and you can apply them and you can get those opportunities, work on them, review the papers, and you can use all that evidence successfully for judging the work of others. Same thing with difference as well, like awards, memberships, published media about you, scholarly articles, etc. Happy to chat about like more things, but a quick before going to the next, like quick thing is like numbers. If you look at number 7 and 10, which is proof of work at artistic events and showcases for the commercial success, these are the two criteria which are usually for the performing arts. And we work with like over 20 law firms right now. We haven't seen like any law firm like try to use these ones except like very, very rare cases where you have like you presented your work at a big scale, like great speaking opportunities. Then they use that for work showcased at artistic events as a comparable evidence. But usually, most times we see like 7 and 10 are omitted, and they usually go for like the remaining eight. And in the remaining eight, the one thing is like for the EB1A, the two buckets of the criteria, two buckets to get accepted. One bucket is a criteria bucket. You have to meet at least three out of like how many ever criteria you're applying. And then there is a other bucket is the final merits bucket. Final merits bucket, which is nothing but like you have to showcase that how you're in the top of the field, like top, like let's say 1%, 5%, or like 10% in the field to convince the USCIS officer that you meet the final merits. And once you meet those, you could get like EB1A I-140 approved, and you use that when your priority date is current to apply for the green card. However, the important point is like probably if you're like was reading my post on LinkedIn or like other lawyers' posts on LinkedIn over the last 2 weeks, the two-pronged approach, like the criteria and the final merits, has been challenged. Has been challenged. Some of one person challenged, she won, and now we are actually going back to our clients who were denied on the final merits, and now work with the attorneys, see if we can litigate like those things as well. I know it's a little bit out of the topic. We are going to have a litigation webinar like next week, sometime. We're going to share that like on our LinkedIn page. Do follow for that. But that's gonna come in. So if you have more questions on the litigation on that specific case, we can drop in the Q&A. We can talk about that like in the Q&A section. Next quote this one. Now, okay, let's talk about our approach. Our approach, I mean, this is our approach. You can definitely use this approach like when you're working on your EB1A case or O1A case. Our most important thing is, I actually, before that, let's talk about like what exactly EB1A experts. What do we do at EB1A experts is like we're a strategy and a narrative development company. What does that mean is when we look at your case and our important goal is you are at an extent, let's say you have working experience, and EB1A requires a lot more things. You have different criteria, require final merits, you have to work with an attorney. How do we strategize like overall process for you to make sure like we work with you to meet the criteria? And of course, like what we work with attorneys in the process as well, validate things like what we're trying to do, try to understand like the data, like how the USCIS adjudication process has been changing. Accordingly, like we modify the strategy if required to make sure like the case becomes strong and work with an attorney and then work with an attorney so that like the attorney can file to USCIS for the EB1A. I mean, at a high level, that's what we do. But like just to break down the whole process, first thing, as you said, right, we'll evaluate your profile. We'll try to understand like what exactly, where are you working? Do you have like 10 years of experience, 12 years of experience, 14 years of experience? And then answer all your questions. And we'll also probably like sometimes we tell you like the chance of success for similar profiles in the past so that you can make a data informed decision. Then we'll have a tailored strategy discussion, which is more of like what are the different evidences, opportunities we need to work on across different criteria based on the work what you've done, so that like you meet those criteria. That's something really important. Then initiate the process as in like we create a plan, we craft the evidence strategy and narrative clarity, and over 6 to 9 months. There are different plans, like it could be 6 months or 9 months, depending on different things. We'll look into the plans as well in a bit. Then the number four is the petition preparation assistance. I'll tell you what exactly happens with the petition preparation assistance as well. So when you work on the criteria, that's not the end. And this, like, there needs to be a really good evidences, needs to be shown, added to the USCIS packet. So added to the petition packet so that that goes into USCIS. Let me tell you my case, right? When this was like 3.5 years ago, or almost 4 years ago, when I work on my evidences, I approached like attorneys. I had to go to 4, 5 law firms. The fifth law firm, they looked at my evidences and they said they're like, hey, we can take a chance to apply for EB1A. The first four attorneys, what they said is like, you're not a research profile. You're not like, you don't have like citations. You don't have like PhD. I mean, one attorney also said like, they didn't say you need to have a PhD, but you don't have a PhD. And common cases, what they work on on EB1A are like the PhD profiles, or EB1B also PhD profiles. And there was, I mean, it was long. And even then, like the attorney who accepted my case, they definitely took like somewhere between 5 to 6 months to gather all the evidences, submit my case to USCIS. And then I got an RFP. And then I did not have a confidence anymore. A different law firm I paid to the attorneys, I paid around $18,000. The first attorney I paid 12 to 13,000. Then the second attorney I paid $5,000, $18,000. I got an approval, which is all good. The story is really great. But during the process, it was not easy, right? Like I wanted to like apply. That was my goal. So I had to go attorney to attorney and say that like whoever takes my case, I want to apply. And so the preparation assistance could take some time. I mean, there could be like some. I mean, the important point is like it could take a long time, and our goal is to make sure like decrease that petition preparation assistance to work with you and have a strong case that goes into the USA's hands. More questions, we can talk about that. We have a few more slides. We'll go through a few more slides and then jump onto the questions. Okay, let's talk about the plans, what we have. So we do have like two plans. At a high level, like there is like elite plan is for 6 months, luminaries for 9 months. And our goal is like we build like the strategy and the narrative development covering 7 to 8 criteria over like 6 to 9 months, depending on like how we want to work on. We do have like weekly and bi-weekly progress updates like for elite and luminary plans. You have access to top immigration attorneys. Right now, we work with 20 plus immigration attorneys, and that's going to actually grow to probably 30 plus by end of this month. So that's something which we're working on. The more important point here is so we do have we're trying to build like more skin in the game. So we have been working with you, but like we want to bring like more skin in the game. How can we support more? One of the common things we hear from a lot of our clients is why don't you add like some refund assistance so that the person who gets an approval, they're okay with it, but the person who do not get an approval, they want some kind of refund. So we added refund assistance in elite, which is a 50% refund assistance. If you do not get an approval, giving 50% money, what you paid is back. On the luminary plan, like we're giving 80% refund back. So 80% refund assurance is something which we're trying to do. And not only that, let's say we attempt two attempts, things don't go well. I mean, we are hoping like most of them should get an approval around 80%, but there will be 20% probably they can take a refund. Or like we can work with you as long as for however long until you get an approval. If your goal is an approval, you want to work with us, we want to provide the best experience, we want to support you throughout, like was until you get an approval for however long, like we want to persist. And immigration is all about persistence, and that's something we want to offer like with both the plans. And not only that, to be honest, like we are okay to pay the money which you pay for USCIS as well. So more questions on that, and Alicia will send like the links in a bit in the chat. Like you can set up a call, like the team can talk about that as well. Cool. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the success metrics and some of the data points, which are interesting. Happy to talk about as well. So we received like around 270 plus approvals. Actually, the data is around like 280 plus right now, including the data over the last week. So 280 plus, and we have like around 80% EB1A approval rate. And for O1, we have 100% approval rate, which is we are really, really proud of. And not only O1A, like O1A and EB2 and AW, we have 100% approval rate, which we're really proud. The reason is like EB2 USCIS, EB2 NIW approval rate is I think around 50-55, and we have 100%. I mean, the two reasons. One is like we did like around 15 or 10 to 15 like EB2 NIW so far, which has been great. And the other thing is like we approach EB2 NIW cases as like EB1A. So our approach is like completely different like than the other people approach. That's the reason we have a higher approval rate. And EB1A as well. I think the USCIS approval rate is around 55 or 60%. We have an 80% approval rate. So we are almost 40% or like 35% over like the USCIS approval rate for EB1A. So just want to mention that. Okay. So these are just a few more data points where I want to talk about a few things here. One is so this is data over, let's say, probably ignore like in the last like month, but before that like we took 150 approvals and now took the data here. One is like cloud technologies and distributed computing, which we see like around 33% share of like our approvals. And data, as you can see, right, data engineering, AI, ML, cybersecurity, fintech, leadership roles as well. We do see QA, marketing analytics as well. So it's even though like it's concentrated in cloud, data engineering, AI, ML, and cybersecurity, but the list it's a long tail. There's a long tail like list of what we have. And the more important point is like we only serve like tech professionals. So there's a lot of bias in the data. Whatever the data you see is like for the tech professionals only. Let's go to the next slide. Now, the other important data point is like the years of experience. We were so like probably give or take like 8, 9 months ago, 10 months ago. We're seeing like the average years of experience, like approvals were like around like 10, 11, but now it's kind of going to average years of experience is like around 15, 15 and a half. Again, as I said, right, like we till now we did not take like the clients, or at least like till now we did not take the clients until like who are less than like 8 years, less than 8 years of experience. But there is also like bias in this data. I just want to mention. Happy to talk a little bit more on this one. Let's go to the next thing. Let's talk on a few things. This is going to be an important slide, which probably I'll spend like a minute on this one. Let's look at the companies, like what we have here. We have right now I live in Seattle, but I lived in Bay Area for a long period of time. And as you know, Bay Area has like Meta, Apple, Google. I used to work for Salesforce, so I had a lot of from Salesforce who actually applied here. If you look at all the data, like of all the companies, for us, I think Apple has the highest number of clients, which is 15. Because I was talking to an Apple client, I was looking at the data. Apple is 15. I think Amazon, Microsoft, Google is almost like close as well, probably like 12, 13. So number of like, I mean, when you have a great brand name, it definitely helps because the reason why I feel it helps is any project like big companies work is like billions of either like what are the billions of revenues or billions of different things as well. So that's actually adds value here. However, if you look at the whole list, there's a lot of different companies as well. There's Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, Workday, Cisco as well. And if you go all the way down, there's definitely some public sector companies as well, which we have seen. We see like retail companies, completely tech companies, startups, like what is it? Startups like probably $1 billion startups. Also, we have seen some startups like who are probably not a like probably Series B or Series C, even Series A startups we have seen in the list as well. The 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 important point is like how do you show like that specific company is distinguished in the nature, like in the what is it space they're in. So I was working before I used to work for Salesforce. Before EB1A Experts, I was working for Salesforce. Before Salesforce, I was working for a company called 24/7 AI. They are in the conversational AI space. They're not a well-known company. They're based out of San Jose. They're not a super well-known company, but however, that's where I spent like 2.5 years, almost 3 years of my work. I did like good products, which help like good number of companies as well. But they're small, but in their niche, they're pretty good. So I was having the documentation saying that like they're pretty good. I think like helped my case to get an EB1 approval. Happy to chat more here. So yeah. I think, yeah, any questions, let me know. We can go through the questions, Alicia.
Yeah, I think we have a few questions in the Q&A. And I know that a lot of you guys may be new to this and new to who we are, so you're probably just absorbing the information right now, but please don't be shy. We have about 20 more minutes. And we're happy to answer any question you may have pertaining to your situation. I noticed that we have a lot of questions towards the beginning regarding RFE. A few attendees are curious whether we help people under RFE. Do we accept cases that are in the middle of responding to an RFE? And then one person asked, when responding to an RFE, can they add evidence other than which were filed in petition as they are not aligned with critical role? And I know you went over this earlier, but what would you say?
Sure. Let me answer the second question. So usually what happens is like when you're responding to an RFE, most times attorneys only include the evidences which were like not procured, like which were done like before the petition has been submitted. And which means that let's say like you got a new judging opportunity, like or like you did a new judging after your petition submitted, you cannot include that. But however, let's say like you have original contributions you did not submit in the original petition because you thought like it's too much you're submitting, you can add those. If you think that's like validated, you can add those. You can check with your attorney and add those details as well into the petition. We have seen like number of times like our clients do add it and they do work as well. With that being said, now you can say that like after the RFE, the amount of the work which we do is like, I mean, it's kind of minimal, which you can work with the attorney whom you work with the petition. So that's the reason like we don't take someone get an RFE, the timelines are constrained, and now we our main work is like how we can showcase the work for the other criteria. and then strategize and build the narrative over like 6 to 9 months. And that doesn't go well with what we're doing, but that's the reason like we don't take up like any RFE or NOID cases to support them.
Amazing. Yeah, someone who was also curious about RFE asked in particular in their case where two criterias are approved, but they just need to strengthen one along with final merits.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, after RFE, strengthening is unlike, I mean, the story around it definitely can be strengthened. That usually the attorney does. But like getting more opportunities, like for some of the criteria after the RFE, usually attorneys won't accept like the new evidence.
Someone else is also asking about RFE. So what are the common reasons for an RFE other than a request for more evidence?
Yeah, actually, as we get more questions, let's spend a good amount of time here. We were, let's say, early last year, like 2025, like probably Jan or even before that, like we were seeing around like 20% like RFPs, and we applied 20% RFPs, 80% were converting like direct approvals, and we say about like 95% approval rate. But that trend has changed like a few months into 2025. Now I think the RFE rate is around 50%. In some months it could be 60%, some months it could be 40% as well. So the RFE rate is pretty high. And the common, when we get an RFE, we usually see like either one criteria getting accepted, two getting accepted is a very common RFEs. And the remaining all criteria usually are RFE. Rarely we definitely see like 0 and 3 criteria getting accepted and 3 criteria getting accepted and RFE and 0 criteria getting RFE as well. I mean, to be honest, like I don't think there is a common reason. There is just the nature of it. Like there's like definitely pushback. There is more scrutiny by the adjudicators. However, our attorneys say the story, right? The story has to be told well. Sometimes if the petition is not done well, the evidences are not put in like correctly, then there is always a chance of like an RFE.
We do go over this with the attorneys a lot, and I actually realized that we've discussed this with some of our own consultants as well on our Instagram. So if you guys want a very thorough breakdown, I would recommend checking out our Instagram. But yeah, sometimes the reasons can be very complex, and I know the attorneys have even said that you might not be given a reason. So definitely. There is one question here. Let's see. Yes. So this case in particular, they want to know most of the applications for EB1A, including theirs, see an RFE and denials from their particular center in Texas this year. What visa option do they have now as an Indian national who has been laid off? They are on an H-1B and they're kind of in a bit of a crunch because they have a very, very short timeline and they also have the stress of supporting a family behind them. So what would you say if you were in their shoes would be your recommendation?
Yeah, got it. So let me likewise add a little more detail what I've been seeing. So that's definitely like people talking on LinkedIn saying that like Nebraska, I mean, the two service centers, Nebraska and Texas, and there have been a number of layoffs like in Nebraska. So a lot of cases are going to Texas Service Center. And we're seeing like more denial. I mean, compared to 2024, early 2025, we definitely have seen like an increase in the denials and RFP percentage later in 2025 and 2026 as well. However, the approvals are coming through. It's a persistence like on the EB1. Like what's if someone wants green card, someone wants EB1, I would say persistence. First approval, first application, you could get an approval. But like if something goes bad, like it's a denial, it's not the end of the story, right? Go back, work on things, and then like just go back and reapply. That's the thing which we do, and that's a strategy which we follow. Now, regarding the H1B, right, the layoffs has been tough. We all accept it. There's so many layoffs in 2025, will continue probably in 2026 as well. And someone get let go. I mean, you know, right, like the multiple things like can be done. Let's say your spouse is on H1, you could move to H4. Within that 60-day period. The important thing is like within 60-day period, you can get apply. I mean, you can get another job and transfer. If not, you can move on dependent on your spouse. If she has an I-140, you could go into H4 EAD, which kind of gives you like more liberty as well. Or when you get a job, you can move to H1B again. That's one option. I also have seen like people again, all these things definitely do check with the attorney because these things change quite a bit. Like the rules are changing. We're not on the top of like the H1B rules, but EB1 we know pretty well. I would, yeah, I would also look into like probably B1, B2 as an option as well, if that's kind of gives like temporary some time. Or the other option, which actually we're pushing for, is like O1. I mean, when someone get it, I mean, right? Always, always like what is it? Starting a company, uh, not an easy option, but it's an option. When you want to start a company, you could always do like you can start a company and apply for O1 using that company for yourself. And that's usually a good story as well. One thing to remember, like when you do that, although like when we look at the rules, it doesn't say anything, but it's always try to keep less than 50% as your stake in the company. So like you are not the one who's making the rules, right? There's another person who can let you go. That's an option which you could do. The other option, which you usually also see, is like someone try to apply for F1 as well. You can try to go back like F1, and once you get a job, you could do that as well. So I don't have a lot of knowledge here, but I've seen some people do apply for CAP exam H1Bs as well. So let's say you are a skilled software developer, amazing. You're working at Amazon. Let's say you lost your job because things do happen. There are many non-profit organizations. They could do the CAP exempt H1B. You can immediately apply for H1B. So you're skilled. Of course, the pay will be lower. So you can talk to them. You can look and search and apply for the jobs. You can get the job there. And that's another route as well. That's how I would do.
That was, pardon me, that was a really great answer, Raghu. And I think it's really important that that question was even asked because I'm sure that there are a lot of people in the audience in a similar situation.
Mhm.
Um, Someone else is wondering if they're starting from scratch, how long will it take to build the profile end to end? So when we start publishing scholarly articles and patents, if all are in a single year, will it create any issue during filing or it needs to be spread over multiple years?
That's a good question. So I know I want to emphasize one thing. So EB1 Experts, so we're a evidence strategy and narrative development company. We're trying to move away from like the wording like profile development. To be honest, like 2 3 years ago, we are the ones like who started the wording like profile development and educated like EB1 awareness as well. There are companies who are trying to use that one like in a completely different limelight, and so we're kind of like we're. I mean, profile development is catchy, so that's why I used it, and other people started using it. Now, even though whatever we actually do the work, evidence strategy and narrative development, it's long, it's not catchy, but we want to serve to the work what we are doing. That's one thing. The second question is how long would it take? But to be honest, like we definitely have seen like someone like working for 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year. I would try to strengthen it. Don't think timeline as an option, unless like you have a constraint, right? Hey, I want to get it done this year, you can do it. But but 6 to 9 months or 1 year is okay. The reason why it's okay is like when the story goes into the petition, the work experience is showcased more. Your critical or leading role, and original contributions, which is done over like let's say last decade. Now the other criteria, awards, scholarly articles, or everything comes as a supporting evidence to the main criteria. So that's why the story, whenever anyone reads through the petition, it doesn't look like all the work is done only the last 6 months or 9 months, but instead you have done it over the 10 years. Now that 10-year work is used to achieve like the other criteria. But I hope that answered the question.
Definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And I noticed we had another question come in regarding the timeline. This participant sounds like they're very new in their career. They noticed that the average year of experience that you mentioned in the slide was 8 years. So for someone who's just starting out, maybe just graduated, what do you think? How do you think it would be, or what would you recommend for sort of laying a foundation while they're in the process of reaching that point in their career to be able to qualify?
Good question, Alicia. So, to be honest, like this is one thing we should have in mind. We do have clients, I mean, not on EB1, like let's say EB2 and AW01, they want to take time and try to work on their profile more. So, we started a self-serve platform like Level Up. If you go to our website, like eb1experts.com, you'll see Level Up, like at the top, like it says new. So, we started the platform. We did a like small launch last year. We're going to have a bigger launch this year, but that will help you work on it. But we do again the elite and luminary plans. We're only going for like someone who has more experience. But if you have lesser experience than 7 years, you can use our platform and understand like what needs to be done. And the platform, our thought process of a platform is someone wants, I mean, it's different, right? When you do a white glove service, we do have a structure. We need to keep things more structured, but and we need to have like time bound as well. But someone wants like more time. They want to work on it like for more years over time, or they want to take breaks in between. So for that flexibility, we created the platform, and we're adding a lot of features in the platform as well. So I would definitely check out like the Level Up platform.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. And check us out on our website as well to see everything that we offer. And we have a lot of great resources on there. I noticed that we do have a lot of questions coming in regarding very specific cases and situations. Just to note that if we don't get to your particular question on time during this session, we encourage you guys to reach out to one of our CSMs, our customer success managers. The link is in the chat. And they can help you. It's a free call. They can help you determine whether this might be the right fit for your particular case.
Right.
Um,
Would you add the link again, Alicia? So for the people who join new, the link might not be visible.
yes. And while I'm adding the link, someone else is wondering how soon can they submit a new petition if the current one is denied?
Great question. I mean, we see, I mean, again, this is like early 2025. I've seen someone submitted a petition like 2 months after, and they got approved. So amazing, right? Like, but the thing, what we're suggesting right now is, let's say, hey, work on it for a few more months at least, right? You got a denial, at least like make 10-15% changes on the things what you're working on, and then go back to the attorney and then like resubmit it. So probably like 6 months is a good time, unless you want to do more work. So six months is totally fine. That's what we are recommending to our clients as well.
Definitely. Someone else is curious how possible it is to jump from an F1 status to an O1A status. Do they have to go through the CPT, OPT process to work on their startup?
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, I think we have like around 15, 20 approvals in F1. I mean, like for O1, all of them moved from F1 to O1A, 100% success rate. I think the average experience, or like for most of them, like the experience is like 3 to 4 years, not more. And that's what we usually recommend as well. At least like 2 to 3 years of experience at the minimum is what we recommend for O1, because we're seeing good success rate with that minimal experience. Now, you want to start a company, right? Like I've definitely seen like people from other countries, like they start a company and they float a company here and they apply. I mean, you have like, you meet the criteria for O1 and the company sponsors you for O1A and they get approved. And that's the common route for O1A, like for like decades. I'm not sure whether decades, but at least in the last decade. So I hope that answered the question, right? You meet the criteria and you need to have a sponsor. It can be your own company which you start, or it can be like a startup, like any startup which can sponsor you. The great thing about O1A is H1B has a minimum salary cap. You need to be like around $80,000 or $90,000 depending on the location. O1A doesn't have the requirement of like you need to be a minimum salary for like applying for O1. O1 gives a lot of flexibility, but H1B gives like much flexibility for the transfer. Someone one from one company to another company, if you want to move, H1B gives like really great flexibility. O1, if a new company, if you want to move to a new company, let's say you join one company, then you want a new company, you have to submit the O1A petition again. It has to be approved again. So it's not a simple transfer.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Raghu. I'm looking at our next question, and someone else is wondering, they wanted to hear a little bit more about the Level Up program. They're curious if it's a self-service platform, or do we have any professional helping us out over the years of the journey?
That's a good question. So right now it's a completely self-serve platform. If you go through the platform, it's a completely self-serve. However, we are going to launch, this is something which we're working on right now. We are adding a guided program to it. So you have self-serve, but like we have a person using our platform, using our like capabilities like internally, they can guide you throughout the whole process, because right, EB1A, there's a lot of things change. It's not a it's not a process which is constant. It's a very dynamic process. So that's why we are adding a guided plan to it. If you want to know more about the guided, I would actually set up a call with team, probably just put a message saying that, hey, I want to have a guided plan. By any chance, if it gets canceled, send a message on my LinkedIn. I'll connect you with the team directly and they can talk about the guided plan.
Definitely. And I included your LinkedIn in the comments as well. So that's there for you guys. This question does have to do with a little bit more of a specific case. However, I'm going to ask it anyway because there might be people in a similar situation. So this person filed for EB1 petition while they were employed at company A. All
Mhm.
recommendation letters and documented contributions were based on their work there.
Mhm.
However, the EB1 petition wasn't approved. Since then, they've moved to company B, where their role is less critical and the compensation is lower compared to company A. If they refile, can they still rely primarily on the work and achievements from company A without including contributions from company B?
Very good question, right? I mean, usually the way I've seen so many petitions, the way usually they're crafted, not only on the recent work, not only in the last 6 months or 1 year work, it's over time. Over time, like I mean, last decade or like last 15 years, like wherever you have like the very high impact work can be claimed for every criteria. And usually the way what I've seen in these cases, the attorneys, what they do is like, I mean, from let's say 2020 to 2024, your average salary is like 500K per year. They usually mention that with the omitting like probably like the recent years data. So it kind of shows like you have been consistently making good amount of money, having great achievements over the years. They would, if it's only, let's say, 1 year, 1.5 year, they would probably write a little bit, but it doesn't have to be main focus on your petition. I mean, I can talk to the attorney who's working with you, but I wouldn't completely omit like the latest one because now if you do that, like there's always a chance of an RFE, they'll ask the questions. I would keep it at a high level.
Definitely. That was very well said. Another question popped up regarding USCIS in the coming months, and whether there are any rules that will be changing. And before you answer that question, we actually just had a webinar last week with a couple of attorneys, and we focused in on this question. So that's going to be up on our YouTube pretty soon if it isn't already. So go ahead and check that out.
Makes sense. Yeah, exactly, Alicia. This was a very detailed discussion last webinar, but at a high level, there has been rumors around it. And in my experience in EB1A, when there is a rumor, definitely like what is it? There must be something changing. However, the second one, like in my experience, like whenever USCIS always try to provide like more value with the things what they're trying to do. 1.5 year ago, 2 years ago, there was one rumor saying that a lot of things with EB1 are changing. What USCIS has done is like they came in and try to add more details, what exactly the evidences would qualify for different things. I'm assuming that's going to happen right now as well. They're going to come in, they're going to provide more clarity. And one thing I'm really hoping if there's a change is currently EB1A criteria is like helps more for the research profile, like because there is original contributions, there is scholarly articles, and a PhD researcher would work on those things for like throughout their like research work. But for a tech professionals, those things will be usually new. So I would probably divide that into two parts: if you want a tech versus if you want a researcher, if they have something, or like just make it more friendly for a tech professional.
Yes. And now that I'm remembering, I also did sit down with one of our consultants and go over some of these changes in an Instagram session with her. So really give some of our social media a good review. We have a lot of good information resources on there. Raghu, I'm getting a lot of questions regarding prices and price changes. I know our pricing can vary depending on what your case looks like, and we offer, add-ons. These are really tailored to what your petition how it's going to be built out and what your preferences are. I'm not sure if you wanted to speak to that at all, though.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, exactly, Alicia, right? Like different plans, what you want to do. Our self-serve platform, you can take a look the pricing. We are having a launch offer there. The guided is going to be a subscription pricing, but there are different offerings as well. I mean, Elite and Luminary. This I know I we did mention at a high level these ones is I would set up a call with the team. They'll talk about the pricing, but it's just, I mean, it's not just about the pricing, right? What are the things which are offered and what is your profile? How can we help you get there is going to be important thing. Uh, there's a lot of nuances. I know if I talk about the pricing, that would definitely take 10 minutes of the call.
Yeah, and I encourage you guys again to reach out to one of our customer success managers to get some clear answers regarding what your situation looks like. Let's see. I'm going over the questions to see if we have time for a couple more. This one is regarding Level Up. So how different would signing up for Level Up be versus maybe some of the other AI platforms that are out there right now? So maybe I guess maybe we could touch on like some key features that are unique to the platform.
I mean, this is a good question. I don't know, to be honest, like I've seen like, I mean, we always search, we always try to do competitor analysis. I don't think there is any platform which serves for the extraordinary ability visas, EB101 and EB2NW, like we do. The other platforms like probably have some resources, some like they have a video, like these are the things what you can do. However, we are like want to be more strategy, we want to be more helpful. And we want to bring you, I mean, we got almost 180 approvals. We do have also, I mean, in the process, we have around like more than 100, 120, or 150 RFEs in the process as well. We do have good amount of like denials as well, like 80%, sorry, 20%, 80% approvals, 20% denials. So there's a lot of knowledge and we want to bring in like all the knowledge to the platform. So right now the platform capabilities are like, we'll tell you the opportunities and those opportunities gets updated like every month. And we'll also tell you like how do you apply for the opportunities. But later on, we're going to add some good capabilities we're working on is like as you're working on it, how much, what percentage of your profile is done? When should you actually go to an attorney? We want to bring in like more attorneys into the process as well, mentors into the mix as well, and try to make like that process like more fun, more gamified, so that like you should not feel like you're the only one who's working on it. You should not feel tired or like tired, but we want it to be more fun. That's the whole thought process with the Level platform. I know the first version launched in Jan, the second version is going to definitely come in February, but every month we're going to have a great features being launched onto the platform, and that's what I would say, Level platform.
That was very well said, Raghu. We've been in the game for a long time, so we're definitely a much more reliable resource than I would think doing it on your own or relying on some other AI tools out there that aren't catered towards this particular industry. Let's see. Let me just see if we have any other last minute questions coming in. Do we have any webinars that deep dive on O1A, Raghu? Someone is curious about that.
It's a good question. We probably would. There was one webinar which I've done. Not sure whether we uploaded that on the YouTube, but but yeah. But actually, I would set up a call, right? So I would set up a call with the team, like with O1. They will probably give you a little bit like more insights into the O1 as well. I would reply. So Alicia probably would have sent you a message. I would send a message to her, and we'll see like if there's a webinar which is uploaded on YouTube, which that we can share with you.
Yeah, I know we have had a surplus of content before I began hosting the webinars. And so I just really encourage you guys to explore. We have such a vast bank of knowledge. Let's see. That looks like all of our questions. Oh, one more actually. Someone is curious, would we be able to recommend any attorney for helping with RFE responses? And I know we partner with a lot of attorneys, but did you want to speak on this before we wrap up?
Yeah, the only question is, I mean, right, like the attorney whom you worked, usually is the best one. The main reason is because like RFE, I mean, this is what's happening is like when you have an RFE, by the time you actually get the RFE document, it's taking 2 to 3 weeks for you to get like the document. So you're technically lost like almost like a month in between the process. You have 2 months. A new attorney they going through that like would take time. However, I'll send some details to Alicia and she can you respond to her. I'll send you some law firms we work with. You can always check with them.
Absolutely. It looks like that's all the time that we have today. So I'm going to just wrap up really quickly by thanking everybody again for taking the time to join us on a Friday. This is just a really important topic, and we've been discussing what's going on in the landscape in other webinars. So we encourage you guys to give us a follow and stay tuned on future webinars that we'll be hosting. And yeah, thank you guys again so much. And thank you to Raghu for all of that insight. We really appreciate it.
Makes sense. Sounds good. Thanks everyone for joining the call and share.
Thank you guys. Check out the links in the comments section to set up a call with us.